Well, joining us now, US correspondent for the Australian newspaper, Sky News, US contributor, Cameron Stewart. He's our man in Washington. Cameron, good morning to you. I've got to say, the very first thing I saw this morning when I woke up and I was on Twitter and I scrolled through was this picture of Donald Trump with his head photoshopped over Rocky, naked in the top half. I don't know what he was getting at, but perhaps you might be able to enlighten me and explain what was going on there and how it may relate to impeachment.
Who can ever answer these questions, Pete? Who knows why Donald Trump did it? But it looks fantastic, and it's got enormous amount of retweets. And I guess the bottom line here is what he's saying is he's in a very big fighting mood, Donald Trump, at the moment. He's fighting impeachment with everything he got. He had a spectacular rally down in Florida last night, a place called Sunshine, Florida, where he really used the impeachment process to rev up the crowd who started yelling out chants. You know, it was really amazing stuff. I mean, he clearly is going to use this impeachment as part of a sort of a grievance policy platform, if you like, to really fire up his supporters. And I thought that tweet was amazing this morning. You know, he's certainly going to make a noise. He's not going to go down without a fight, Donald Trump, and he's making sure that everyone knows that.
It is all about his supporters as well, isn't it, Cam? If it gets to the Senate, I mean, you still need to convince Republicans, technically his own team, to see the Democrat side of things. And there's really no sign of that happening yet, is there?
No, Laura, there's absolutely no sign of that happening. And, you know, you wouldn't imagine that it will happen at this point in time because the Democrats appear to have fired all their best shots. They've brought all the witnesses forward that they can legally summon to the chamber. They seem to have made their argument already. Of course, they've convinced themselves that this is an impeachable offence, so they'll almost certainly go through with it. But you can tell there's a bit of a spring in a step of Republicans, even Donald Trump to a degree, I think. I mean, although he might find himself impeached by the House, which does look like the likely outcome, you know, the polls are not moving much at all. And so this suggests that Trump really has a possibility to turn this to his advantage on the campaign trail. You can bet you that the rally last night was a foretaste of much to come. And so I think Trump really sees that this could be turned to his advantage, which of course is what some Democrats, such as Nancy Pelosi, had feared all along. So it's going to be fascinating to see how it turns out. And the Senate trial, which will be in January, will actually be fairly advantageous to the Republicans because they can control it because they control the Senate. So they can call their own witnesses. It could even be Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's son. I mean, so that will be a much more pro-Republican fest, if you like, than we saw in the House with the Democrats.
And just on the latest, when it comes to Elizabeth Warren and Pete Buttigieg, where are they all stacking up at the moment, Cam?
Well, it's fast-moving, Pete, but it does. You wonder whether Elizabeth Warren has blown it. She's been the fast riser in the polls. For much of this year, she was challenging Joe Biden, the front runner, in many polls, but she's actually not only stalled, she's gone backwards lately, and that's because Democrats are really starting to scratch their heads about her $20 trillion Medicare for All plan. They worry it's far too ambitious. It's going to alienate moderate Democrats and could hand Donald Trump a second term in office and perhaps even lose the Democrats the House. So there's a lot of people very nervous about it, and what you're seeing now is Elizabeth Warren falling in the polls. Her position is being taken by two moderates. Joe Biden is keeping his position at the top of the thing, and also, of course, Pete Buttigieg, the latest man on the block, is coming up fast, and he's actually leapfrogged Biden in a poll this week. So it's going to be really interesting to see where that goes from here. But certainly the moderates are suddenly fighting back against those liberals like Warren and Sanders, and so at the moment they're doing pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely. And Buttigieg is certainly one to keep an eye on. I don't know whether he can capture that middle ground, bring Republicans over if he does finally get the nomination. He's from Indiana, isn't he? He's, you know, controversial in many ways. He's openly gay, is that correct?
Yeah, he's openly gay, he's married, and he's openly gay. He also hasn't got a lot of support, Laura, among African Americans and Latinos at this point in time. Now, the Buttigieg camp says that's only because they don't know him, but they'll get to like him in time. So, but they're the three main issues against him really at this point in time: the African American vote, Latino vote, and the fact that he is gay, because people don't know how Americans will react to that at the polls. But he certainly is the most energetic and charismatic campaign. You watch him on the stump speech. I mean, he just eclipses all of them as far as his enthusiasm enthusiasm, you know, and so he's a very interesting character. He's extremely young. He's only 37 years old. He would be the youngest president ever elected in US history if he gets up. But,
what are we doing with our lives?
A live wire into it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And Pete, look, I just wanted to quickly clarify my comments there. In 2020, being openly gay and being married shouldn't be a problem, but there's those sections in America, in the Bible Belt in particular, that are really conservative. So how they might take to that was the point I was trying to make. In California, no issue.
It's a fair point, and we've spoken about it on this show, especially with Bruce Walby on that particular issue. And as Cam just said, they're very interesting to see how that goes. Cam, I'm just curious, is the needle moving at all when it comes to Mike Bloomberg?
No, not much at all, Pete. Bloomberg in the latest poll only gets like 3 or 5%. Very, very low, you know. And this is the thing about Bloomberg. I mean, a lot of Democrats were worried that he'd spend his way to the nomination because, of course, he's got so much money. I mean, it's $50 billion he's worth. And he's throwing all the money he can, but of course it really doesn't. Money can't buy you love necessarily. And the bottom line is that he is just not really raising much at this point in time. And of course he'd have to come late into the race as well. He's missed out the registration for the first couple of primaries in Iowa and New Hampshire, so he's going to have to come from behind. It's a very big call for Bloomberg at this point in time. And even his own media organisation, Bloomberg, is not allowed to report on aspects of his president's campaign. So it's a pretty fascinating situation he's put himself into.
Yeah, you are right. Good wrap. Very good wrap as always, Cam. Great to talk to you, and we'll chat to you again next week. Happy Thanksgiving, by the way.